Hi, welcome back to World in Miniature. Today we're going to be talking about some of the items that you might have in your home that you can repurpose for the 1/12 scale dollhouse. Now these items here I have made, and I'm going to show you some little tips today. I'm also going to be covering some items that you can purchase fairly cheaply in different sections of the stores that you might be able to use in the dollhouse as well. So hopefully you can learn how to do some of these things today. Most of them are not that hard to make. So first thing I want to show you, I just got one of the little dolls that I have for my dollhouse. I need to make new clothes for her. This one is a little big, I think. But anyways, just so you can get an idea on scale. Now, this is another doll. A lot of people might not think of to use it in the dollhouse. This was at Dollar Tree. Now, they have several different ones. But if you look at the scale next to it, they work well with the dollhouse. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money to get some of these where they're specifically for the 1/12 scale dollhouse, they can be kind of expensive. So this is another alternative. Okay, the first thing I wanted to show you, see if I can understand. Maybe. There we go. First thing I wanted to show you are these little trivets that I made. Now, these are pretty simple to make. The wood that I use for a lot of these items, like this little stand that I made, you can get it usually at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's just this real thin wood, this basswood. See, it's very thin. It's softer wood, so it's easier to cut like with just a simple little blade. It's already kind of smooth, so you wouldn't have to do much sanding other than maybe to the edges. But it's fairly inexpensive and very easy to handle. So again, back to these little trivets. You could pick a sticker or scrapbook paper that has small little pictures on it. After you cut out the piece from the basswood, use tacky glue to put the image on there. And then now what I use to seal it is this Ranger brand Glossy Accents. Works very, very well. You just put it on the top and let it sit overnight. Now, you might get little tiny bubbles. Just take a straight pin and just pop the bubbles as you see them, and it works very, very well. Now, what I usually do afterwards is I'll sand the edges after it's dry. Make sure you allow a good 24 hours to let it completely dry, and then I just sand the edges with a downward, sidewards stroke. That way you're not really messing with the finish on the top part. But then you can get a nice clean edge. And I've made several different, like seashell, starfish, and then a little basket. You can find all kinds of images. I get stickers all the time from different places, and I'm specifically looking for that small design that we can use. Now, another use for this basswood is I make little pads of paper. Now, these don't open, but I'll cut a piece of that basswood small enough. You can go online and find the different, like this is a graph paper, notebook paper, and just you can shrink it down. If you have something like Publisher or some sort of editing program like that, you can shrink it down so it's a smaller size, and just you can type in Publisher and just print it out and just glue it on with the tacky glue. But yeah, you can make these like for a school homework for the child's bedroom or something like that. So that's something else that you can do fairly easily. Another thing that you can do, and I made some things for a craft store. These are those bolts of fabric that you get. So you can just cut out your piece of wood, get any kind of small print fabric. They have all different kinds out there. So if you're into sewing at all, if you have any scraps, just use it for this. But yeah, you can just get all kinds of little tiny things. One place that I have found those fat quarters that you get, those little square pieces that you can piece together to make bigger quilts and stuff. Just get a little stack of that. Just cut to fit on the piece of board. A lot of times those bolts have like a white, the top is white. So I just took some acrylic paint and just painted the tops. glue that into place. Even one or two little strips going around, and there you got your bolts of fabric. Going along with more of the sewing items, I made mini fat quarters. Just cut little squares and tie it up with a little tiny ribbon of some kind. There's your fat quarters. Very simple. Something else that you can do is, I went in where they sell the mini brads, very tiny. What I did was I cut off the pointed part, so I just had the little shape. Took some scrapbook paper, cut it off, and look, it looks like some buttons that you would buy in a little craft store. You can do it with brads. You can do it with stickers. Those stickers that you find. Just get the little tiny ones, glue it to some scrapbook paper, cut it out, and there you go. Looks like little tiny buttons that you buy. Of course, you have all different shapes, and there's hearts, and there's stars, there's little circles, all kinds of things that you can do with that. So again, very inexpensive, very easy to do. Fill up your little store, your little craft store. This is, I don't know if you can still find this. This is like just plastic, but it came as a large 8.5 by 11 sheet. It's just a bunch of graphs, but I cut out a shape so it looks like one of those cutting mats. So I haven't made a cutter yet, but I think I'm going to have to go along with this. And you can find more templates online and just shrink it down. There's a little ruler. And you could probably just make it. Now this, I have the wood. I cut out a piece of basswood and just cut it to size for the ruler. I mean, you could just, take some yellow paper and make like little nicks in there for the inches and everything. That's actually what I did for this. Now this is just cardboard. This is a yardstick, but I didn't even put the numbers on there. But I just took a piece of cardboard and cut it out. This is more like cardstock, I believe. But again, something very easy to do out of just household items. If you have silicone molds that have these shapes, I believe they sell those at Michael's and probably Hobby Lobby. If you put in some just hot glue in those molds, let it sit and pop it out, you can make your own frames, paint them how you want them. They have different shapes. That one's a little whacked in there, so not a good example. If you have photos in your computer, shrink it down real small, print it out, and put those in your frames. Now this is before I cut it, but you can see, you can just shrink it down real low, cut it and, put it on there, cut it out for the shape, and you have your little tiny pictures. Now in the kitchen, here's some other things. If you have some of that polymer clay, or Sculpey, I believe it's called. But anyways, real quick, on back to some of the other things that you can get just real cheap. This is one of those little wood thimbles. And they had these little things. I think these were at Hobby Lobby. But you can glue it in there and paint it. And you have a little cake stand. Okay, some more things that you can do with clay. Just roll in a ball, kind of put a little nicks in there, and I still haven't painted these, but these can be like little potatoes. You don't need a lot of skill to do that, just, rub them in a ball, put a few nicks in there. Something else, if you have some little tiny cookie cutters out of some chocolate clay. I think I just used air dry clay. Make little cookies. Now you can get that same basswood cut off a square, paint it silver. You got your cookie sheet, and glue a few of those cookies on there, and you got a thing of cookies. Use some of that brown and white clay, kind of wrap it. You can make a little cinnamon roll, or like a Yule log maybe. Again, just that basswood, paint it silver. There you go. More of that basswood. Just cut it out into a shape. You can make a little, if you have like a little store, you can put that up there, or even that can go in the kitchen too. Just paint it, and I just did that on Publisher as well. I just printed that out, and then whenever I printed it out on black paper and taped it on. More things out of clay. If you just roll it in a ball, stick some green on there, little brown twig thing coming out of there, and you got your pumpkins. There's another size. Something else that you can do with the wood and the clay. Again, just simple cutting that out. These little bowls. I believe you can get multiple ones at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and I was trying to get another one here. This right here is all it is. Usually comes, I don't know, about 5 of them. You can look in the wood aisle. They'll have little items like this. Just make your clay eggs and glue them in there. In the printer, type out a little recipe, shrink it down real small and print it, cut it out. Got a little recipe card, stick on there. Some other things that I've used with clay. This is a bottle cap, just a simple bottle cap. You can roll out your clay and put it on there, let it dry, and use that, I think it's Sculpey, it's a liquid Sculpey type glue type that you can use to add your details. Here's another one. It just has a slightly bigger bottle cap. And that basswood is the same, just paint it silver. Now, there are some other items that I wanted to show you. These are things that you can buy from different areas of the store that you can use for the dollhouse. So if you go into the button aisle, you usually can find multiple items in a little baggy thing or whatever, little pouch. These are buttons. See the little plastic button? Cut that off. There's like a little dinosaur toy that you can have for the child's room. More buttons. This is a little train. You can put that on a wall for decoration. Little wall hanging. Same with these are little buttons. Cut the backs off. There's, if you have a sports themed little bedroom, put those on the wall. They'll have different sports balls and everything in there also, and you can, arrange however you want. They even had these little tiny blocks, like for a baby's room. Cut the back of that button part off and attach that to the wall, like, ABC or however you want to do it. Also in the jewelry aisle, get a thing of shells. There's a shell necklace. These little tiny shells you can do all kinds of things with. You can put them in a glass jar, have it, put it over on the side to decorate in a room or whatever. If you have a beach scene for your dollhouse, these make perfect size. See, these are really small. Oh, one thing I didn't show you over here also is these little cans I made. Again, on your computer, just type something out, print it out. This is a dowel rod. Just cut a piece of dowel rod to size, paint the tops and the bottoms silver, and you have your little cans of soup. By the way, I'm thinking about starting another, well, I had an Etsy shop a long time ago, but I wasn't as involved with this as I am now. If anybody is interested, let me know. Would you like to see these items on an Etsy shop to be able to be purchased? Again, these are just repurposed items. So it's nothing fancy. I'm still kind of new about making some of these items. But if you're interested, I'd be more than happy to start the Etsy shop back up if anybody's interested in purchasing any of these. And I'm sure I'll be making more items. But back to some of these items that can be repurposed in the jewelry aisle. Sometimes they have little tiny chains. You can make, if you want to try to do a jewelry store room or something for the dollhouse, you can use these little tiny chains and make jewelry out of it. We might try that in a later video. I believe I showed this in a different video, but in Hobby Lobby, you can purchase these in the jewelry aisle. Little tiny lollipops. Are those not cute? I love those. And in the same aisle, you can also find these little gems. They're little mini clay peppermints. If you have a little glass jar, which I believe they sell in the same aisle, you can fill these up and you have a candy jar for maybe a candy shop. They're real flat, so you would probably need several in there to fill the jar up. Something else in the jewelry aisle at Hobby Lobby I found. Little tiny donuts. Now these are charms, so this would be with charms. All you have to do is just remove the backing and the top, put it on a little plate, and you've got your little donuts. And another thing I found in the jewelry aisle, are these not cute? I'm going to be doing a little garage scene in my dollhouse. In fact, I'm getting a little kit I think I'm asking for Christmas for. And I'm hoping to be able to use, I know it's going to be a smaller scale than what I'm wanting, but I'm hoping it'll work. These are a good size for the dollhouse right here. These are little silver ones. And just cut off the rings, and you've got your little tools. Something else you can find in the wood aisle. Now, I haven't seen them in a while, but I haven't looked either because I already had them. There's some ornaments, little chalkboard ornaments. Just cut the string off. You can use that in a little school scene or even in the child's bedroom if you want to write something fancy, Merry Christmas or something like that. It's just a little chalkboard. Those usually come several in a pack. Also in the wood aisle, sometimes you can find these little tiny birdhouses. Just paint it. You got a little birdhouse for the deck. So there's so many different items that you can still use that you might not think about. Now this is maybe a little different, but anybody recognize these? This is from the Monopoly game. If you just take some of these, you can use these as little tiny dollhouses in the child's bedroom. This is also in the jewelry aisle. Some little bulbs of some sort. We can either use that as a Christmas ornament on the tree, or cut that off, maybe spray paint it orange and stick a little green stem or something out there, make a little pumpkin, a decorative pumpkin, just to sit around. But they have all kinds of little things like this in the jewelry area. These, I think, might be for stained glass. Little tiny plastic doohickey things. They come in different colors. But look in the stained glass area. Maybe probably in Hobby Lobby. Or maybe Michael's also. Or your just local craft store. But these can be put in those little tiny jars. They can look like little candies. This, well, you have to clean the bottom of it. But this used to hold eyeshadow. So I don't know if they still have these. It seems like they would. But because a lot of the makeups have just like a plastic base. But if you can still find them that has the metal base, once you finish with it, clean it out, clean this bottom, you've got a little cooking pan. In the scrapbooking aisle of your local craft store, you usually can find all kinds of different things like this. I mean, wouldn't that be cute, like as a wreath on your front door? Or in the house decoration, maybe over the fireplace or something like that. Might be able to find them for different holidays. But all that is just a sticker. But you might want to try to do something different as far as whenever you stick it on the wall, so when you take it off, it doesn't peel the wallpaper. There should be some sort of adhesive that's removable. Also in the scrapbooking aisle, sometimes you can find things like this, a little life game, or different things that you can use, in the dollhouse. It's dollhouse size. Very detailed. This had candy in it, but it's just a little Pac-Man, fake game, but still, it looks kind of lifelike. You can use this and it may be a game room. See, it's a good size for the dollhouse. Not really the right size for the adult dolls, maybe. But yeah, for the child's room or a game room or something like that, I don't think you want to put it in a child's room. But then again, a lot of these kids have these video games in there. So I don't know. But, well, that's a good start as far as some different things that you can make on your own. Again, if you would like to see some of these items in an Etsy shop to purchase for yourself, just let me know and I'll start that up. If you have any other ideas, put them in the comment section. Maybe be able to help some other people. But there's all kinds of things that you can repurpose. I will see you in a later video. Bye.